Among all the gods of Norse mythology, Thor stands out as one of the most vivid and powerful. He was the god of thunder, lightning, storm, action, and his hammer Mjölnir became a symbol of strength and unstoppable power. But behind this image lies much more than just a mythological hero. There are not only tales of his feats and victories, but also interesting, sometimes amusing stories, myths, and rumors that reveal the complexity of his character and his relationships with other gods. Mjölnir, the secret of the hammer. Mjölnir, Thor's hammer, was not just a weapon, it was something much more. According to the myths, it was forged in the blazing heart of a mountain and could break through any obstacle. But there is one curious fact that perhaps not everyone knows. The hammer, despite its incredible power, was quite small. The legend says that it was so small that Thor could barely hold it in his hands, and the hammer seemed like a child's toy in comparison to the immense power it unleashed. The story of Mjölnir's creation begins with Loki, the god of mischief and trickery, who made a bet with the dwarves, renowned for their smithing skills. Loki wagered that the dwarves couldn't create anything as powerful as a sword that, according to him, could defeat any foe. In response, the dwarves created Mjölnir, a hammer capable of smashing any obstacle and defeating the mightiest of enemies. However, the hammer turned out to be too short, which led to many rumors among the other gods. "Perhaps Loki has something up his sleeve," said some. "He was always clever. Maybe this was just another one of his tricks," others added. But it wasn't just the hammer's size that fueled gossip. Mythology also tells of how the dwarves cursed the hammer as they made it, forcing its wielder to be an eternal protector of the world and always fight in storms. This curse granted Thor immense power, but it also doomed him to endless trials. Scandals and storms around Thor. Thor's power was known far beyond Asgard, but not all his actions were understood or approved by others. One of the most famous scandals occurred when Thor took part in the abduction of a giant's wife. One myth tells how a group of giants stole Mjölnir, and Thor, determined to retrieve his weapon, stole the dress of the goddess Freya to disguise himself as her. In this outfit, which few would take seriously, the god of thunder was portrayed in a somewhat unheroic light. This episode sparked a lot of gossip and jokes among the gods. What a sight when Thor decides to act in a woman's dress. As a result of all these stories, even though the hammer was returned, Thor was often teased in Asgard about his unorthodox decisions. Another curious incident is connected to his relationship with the goddess Sif, Thor's wife. Loki, as all, meddled in others' business and made a move that seriously damaged his friend's reputation. Loki shaved off Sif's hair, taking away one of her most beautiful features. This act sparked a storm of outrage from Thor, but Loki, trying to fix things, offered Sif golden hair that he had crafted for her with the help of the dwarves. However, this incident not only fueled rumors about Loki's cruelty, but also raised doubts about how stable Thor's marriage really was. The legend of Thor and his trials. Although Thor was a god of thunder and strength, his feats were not limited to just defeating giants. One of the most vivid myths about Thor is his journey to the land of giants. In one story, Thor and his friends traveled to the land of the giants, where they met a giant named Utgar the Loki. This giant challenged Thor to several trials, and Thor found himself unprepared. One of these challenges was a contest to lift a giant cat, which turned out to be much heavier than Thor had expected. During the contest, Thor couldn't lift the cat, but it was soon revealed that the cat was, in fact, the ocean itself, and all of Utgar the Loki's trials were traps meant to test the god's strength and endurance. This myth not only demonstrates Thor's immense power, but also reflects the imperfection of even such great heroes as he. The myths surrounding Thor are also full of paradoxes. On one hand, he embodies unstoppable strength and protection, yet on the other hand, his actions were not always well thought out or rational. In one myth, Thor recklessly fights giants, only to find himself in a difficult situation in another, when the consequences of rash actions catch up with him. The conclusion: the god with the hammer and his complex relationship with the world. Thor is not just a symbol of strength and power, as one might think at first glance. His hammer Mjölnir became a symbol of both destruction and protection, but behind this symbol lies a much more complex relationship with the world around him and with himself. He was not always the perfect hero, and his stories, though filled with great feats, actually reveal how important it is to be prepared for trials, even when you are one of the mightiest gods. The stories of Thor are full of humor, scandals, and sometimes even strange twists, which keep them lively and relevant for generations. In these myths, alongside immense power, there are deep moral lessons about human weaknesses, shortcomings, and mistakes, which even the greatest gods cannot avoid.